have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter told them before, but they don't listen. Better, bring a better bad because I'm bigger, better. Solo single, selling several shows at every single second. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Kinda came and crushed the competition, hope they get the message. Look, living it fast, spinning my M in the bag. I never go slow, thinking I'll crash. End up a thing in the past, they know I won't though. Big fish catching me, they gon' need a bigger boat. Ironic how the world stops when I spin a globe. Always showing up. Right. Last year's song still holding up. See the name now and they know what's up. Right. Price hit the top and it's going up. I'm a trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center. Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
B.O.D. Get the spell check, a fact check, and prevent errors going up. See the bent lever, jalapeno hot, y'all just red peppers. All y'all copping copies, but I'm left center. And your shorty glitching on me like a text center. Hit her with a French tenor. Crazy wait until I do the next record. I leave head severed. I don't need to hit the bench ever. But if I do, I'm PRing to the next level. Condo flights to Lufthansa. Already know who you people fans of. Call me Big Daddy in a big body Wrangler. Call me Big Daddy Adam Sandler. Bullseye, aiming for a cottage with a poolside, full size.
Always showing up. Right. Last year's song still holding up. See the name now and they know what's up. Right. Price hit the top and it's going up. I'm a trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter told them before, but they don't listen. Better, bring a better bad because I'm bigger, better. Solo single, selling several shows at every single second. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Kinda came and crushed the competition, hope they get the message. Look, living it fast, spinning my M in the bag. I never go slow, thinking I'll crash. End up a thing in the past, they know I won't though. Big fish catching me, they gon' need a bigger boat. Ironic how the world stops when I spin a globe. Always showing up. Right. Last year's song still holding up. See the name now and they know what's up. Right. Price hit the top and it's going up. I'm a trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center. Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
B.O.D. Get the spell check, a fact
It's just the nearest one's like an hour away, and I just don't feel like driving.
Y'all just red peppers, all y'all copping copies.
Is changing over. Ladies and gentlemen, is it working? It's working! Yay!
Does it
we're here.
HS?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Holy shit, something
we
worked.
are live. It's time.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the Geeks and Noobs podcast, the flagship podcast of the TGN networks. I'm, of course, your host, Super Vince Hoover, joined by my good buddy, my brother from another mother, my fellow Tennessean, the one and only Kale Meg Cosplay. And, of course, I'm coming
Thank you, good that. Thank you.
Yes, and of course, I'm coming to you live from the TGN Network studio, brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the absolute best place to get your tickets. Whether it be wrestling shows, concert tickets, comedy shows, sporting events, you name it, they've got it. They're easy to use, color-coded system. Make sure you get the absolute best deal possible without having to rack your brain to do it. And use code SUPERBEARD at checkout for $20 off your very first purchase. Now, this is a conversation that we kind of had 2 weeks ago. In preparation for The Crow coming out, in preparation for Beetlejuice coming out, that there is this kind of, and it's a word that I have used ad nauseum over the last 2 days, but it's the best word to describe this. There is a dichotomy in Hollywood when it comes to rehashing IPs. Now, to play devil's advocate a little bit, I can kind of understand where Hollywood is coming from when it comes to trying to rehash IPs or making movies like we've got the Minecraft movie coming up, taking a beloved IP and making a movie versus something new. Because also, if you look at anything that was an original IP over the last couple of months, they haven't done well. Oppenheimer is probably the last super successful original IP, and even that's not 100% original. It's based on something that happened. As far as original IPs, nothing's really doing very well. And Hollywood is still trying to recover from the pandemic. So they're trying to play it safe, and they're sticking with stuff that works. And in the process, they're rehashing old stuff, and they've been doing it now for several years. Like we talked about Bill and Ted Face the Music, which Grand Slam home run, absolute brilliant film. Matrix Resurrections. I have to call that a failure just because of its box office numbers. Personally, I think it's really, really good. A lot of people didn't like it. And it lost a lot of money. It was an abject failure. In the most recent terms of this, we had The Crow last week, and now Beetlejuice. I bet you dollars to donuts that Beetlejuice will have a massively huge weekend in the box office. Massively huge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just going to be insanely big. I saw it last night on a special screening. I'm not going to spoil anything, but 10 out of 10, best film of the year for me. On the opposite side of that,
makes me more excited.
Yeah, The Crow, which is an IP I also love, both comics and the original film, was an absolute shit show. I mean, the movie was completely soulless. I don't remember who the critic was who said it, but that absolutely fucking nailed it. It's soulless. And I'm like, so my question that we're going to kind of discuss today, with Hollywood being so dead set on one, they got to make money, so they're going to try to rehash all these IPs. What's up, Lee? Why is it that either it's so far on either? Where's my hands? Where's the thing? This is not big enough. Can I come back further? You know what a spectrum is. But it's so far either on the absolute massive success or abysmal, ridiculous failure. King Shoddy, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub, King Shoddy. King Shoddy.
And Shoddy!
But there's never an in-between. Like, I guess you could technically look at Matrix Resurrections as an in-between. But it was an abysmal failure box office number-wise. Personally, I enjoy it, but most people didn't. So you have to take it as a failure. But there's no in-between here. There's never like a, okay, this isn't too bad. Like, it's fine. Because even if you look at, like, let's say Barbie or Super Mario, old IPs used to push a film, right?
Yeah.
Barbie, one of the most successful films of last year. Same with Super Mario. And, you know, meme worthy, the whole nine, like, huge success. So there's no, like, in between. Why do you think there's no in between when it comes to these IP? It's either the movie is an absolute success or the movie is a horrid piece of shit.
Well, I think it was for the same reasons that the original Super Mario Bros. Movie from the 90s failed. Because, you know, no one had really done a video game movie at that time.
Yeah, it was.
And the success of the video game franchise, and plus the moderate success of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show with Captain Lou Albano was, you know, expectations were high for the movie, and then when it failed, everybody just like, okay, this is just totally horrible and it sucks because they didn't understand the story. Nothing was true to the source material. But guys like you and me, we love that movie.
Yeah, well, we love that movie in particular because it is so bad. It's so bad, it's good.
Yes,
But
it
here's
is
the
so
thing,
great.
Like, there is so much chance for failure when it comes to, say, a Beetlejuice sequel 30 years later, you know? Or what, almost 40 years later? Like, when did the original one come out? 89, 88?
Yeah, so almost 40 years.
Yeah. There is so much room for failure, and yet they absolutely nailed it. I will say this. There's one thing that I have been thinking about all day long. The studio, and this is Warner Brothers, mind you. This is Warner Brothers, and we know how they can be. But they stepped back and let Tim Burton do his thing. They did not interfere. I don't know if the same can be said when it comes to The Crow, if the studio was deep into that or not. But there does seem to be a direct correlation with studio micromanaging and failure. The more the studio micromanages, the more the movie fails, especially when it's a beloved IP. Part of the reason they micromanage is because this was a success for us before. Let's basically just do the same thing again, because it worked before. But you want to know one of the things that Tim Burton did before even starting this film?
Wow.
Refused to watch the original. He refused to go back and watch it. He also told Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton, and everybody else who's in the original, don't go back and watch it. Play it from your memories, not from watching it.
That's actually sound advice.
Yeah. So
that way they run more or less of a chance to copy and paste.
Well, it's going to be growth because you're going to remember it.
Exactly.
You're going to remember, it was 30 plus years ago. The way you're going to remember it now is by a person who has grown and evolved. Memories change. Memories alter. As you've grown as a person, they're going to change. Especially when it comes to, say, Winona Ryder, who was a teenager in that film and now an adult playing a mother. It was best for her not to go back and watch that. Because she had to grow as a person. She became a mother. That whole thing. Absolutely, positively, like I said, best film of the year. Great advice. But again, there's that direct correlation to lack of micromanagement by the studio and its success.
And just the fact that Warner Brothers didn't interfere, that's the really shocking thing.
Well, Warner Brothers is one of those studios that most of the time they will interfere, except for a handful of directors. Where's my hand? There's my hand. There's my camera. There's my camera. Except for a handful of directors. Tim Burton is one of those directors. For better or for worse, they don't touch his shit. I say for worse because you look at the last time he rebooted something, and that was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is an abysmal pile of shit.
Yeah.
That movie's horrible. Is it
really
closer? Is it closer to the book? Yes, hands down. Closer to the source material doesn't always equal good, and I think that Marvel's actually a great example of that because the MCU is inspired by the comics, but not a direct one-to-one correlation.
Could you imagine how bad Infinity War and Endgame would have been if they had based it on the Infinity Gauntlet comic?
1,000% love the 90s Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet comic book storylines.
Yes,
they would have they would have been the worst fucking movies.
Absolutely.
They would have made no sense.
Yeah, because spoiler alert for a 30-year-old comic.
Yeah.
But the whole reason why Thanos snaps half of the universe out of existence is to get a date with death.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you have such strange characters that were involved in it. You have characters that did not age well. Also. Be safe, Peppy. You have characters that did not age well. Star Fox being one of them. The dude is basically, his power is date rape. Basically, he's a walking, talking roofie. But like, it's over the top. It's very 90s. It just would not work. On top of that, you have 80 plus years of history with these IPs. Spider-Man, all these characters. their own continuity doesn't make any sense because every time a new writer comes in, they change things to fit their own narrative.
Right.
So you have to take the core of the character, which I think Marvel has done better than anybody, and develop it for a modern visual media. So, like, we have like there was of course a trailer for the Joker 2 coming out. I bet you that movie is going to be amazing from an acting and writing standpoint. Like cinematography, writing, acting, it's going to be an Oscar-worthy film. I'm sure of it. But if you're a fan of comics, you're going to fucking hate this movie. Because it's not the Joker. It's definitely not Harley Quinn. So it's literally just, hey, here's an IP that's already established and is successful. We're going to slap it on there to get the little extra boost to this film that probably wouldn't get as much views if it was just a random film about mental illness.
Yeah. And it probably would, even if they didn't slap DC all over that film for no reason other than just to say it's a DC film, it would have been great. It probably would have matched Oppenheimer in critical ratings.
Probably. I don't know how long we're going to be on this trend of just rehashing IPs and just taking IPs and not doing original stuff. Because unfortunately, like I said, original stuff is not working. We had Trap come out, absolute bomb. What else? Here, let me pull up let me just pull up my app. What's playing and what's been playing.
You think Trap failed because of being a Shyamalan film and his recent track record?
I think it failed because it's not a good film.
Okay.
And that's because it is a Shyamalan film. Like, it's not, he's not done well. So we have It Ends With Us, which is based on a book, so not an original IP. That movie got any kind of traction because of the controversy surrounding it, though. We've got Blink Twice, which just came out, is coming out this weekend, but unfortunately is projected to not do well. We had Alien Romulus, which I think is a wonderful film, but because it's not like you're competing with Alien and Aliens, two of the greatest sci-fi films of all time that literally reshaped sci-fi horror completely. So it has a lot to live up to, and it's not living up to that for a lot of people. Not doing as well. Deadpool and Wolverine. Twisters, which again, who asked for a sequel to fucking Twister? Despicable Me 4. They're gonna this weekend they're gonna re-release Shaun of the Dead in theaters because it's the 20-year anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Inside Out 2, which is doing well. Slingshot. I bet you don't even know what that's about.
No, I ain't heard anything about
Exactly. Greatest of All Time. You probably hadn't heard of that. The Crow, which is absolutely awful. Trap, like I said. Let me see what else. Harold and the Purple Crown, which is based on a children's book and is the lowest rated film of the last, I think, 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Long Legs, which is a horror film, didn't do very well in theaters, but I think it's one of those movies that like it'll get a cult classic feeling later on.
Okay.
So that's kind of what's playing right now. Let's see what else is coming out. Of course, there's Kraven the Hunter in December. Venom is also coming out. We got Transformers 1, again another rehashed IP. The Wild Robot, hadn't heard about that.
Oh, I've seen advertised for that.
Yeah.
Now,
there are 2 original films that are coming out, although Speak No Evil might be based on a book. The James McAvoy horror film.
Yeah.
Speak No Evil. That does look really good, though.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has that, what is actually going on here.
James McAvoy plays one hell of a psychopath.
Yes, he does.
Trishelle, how you doing? Glad the storm has passed. There's Killer's Game with Batista. about a hitman who is wrongfully diagnosed with a terminal illness. So before he finds out it's a bad diagnosis, he decides to put a hit on himself because he wants himself. He's like, if I'm going to go out, I'm not going to have cancer kill me. I'm going to have hitmen do it, but I'm going to fight, And then it turns out, oh, no, you're not dying at all. Our bad. And he's like, well, I got to take the hit off. They're like, nope.
Too late.
So that movie looks like a lot of fun. That looks very much like a Crash or a not Crash. It's that Jason Statham series where they're like super.
Shoot.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's gonna kill me until I think of it.
Like a Guns Akimbo, or there was that one movie with Clive Owen, where he's a hitman. It's just one of those like fast paced like action movies.
Yeah.
That's what it feels.
Crank.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's a Jason Statham series. Crank and
there's Megalopolis coming out, which I think is based on a book. But that's already got a lot of issues because they were putting out fake quotes from critics on the trailers. So that's already hurting. Next week, Blazing Saddles 50th anniversary re-release in theaters.
Oh my god.
Super excited for that. Matrix also is getting its 25th anniversary re-release. There is that movie Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story. I have to see that.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely love that man to death. But you know what else I noticed as I'm scrolling through here? Half of the movies that are coming out soon are re-releases, like anniversary. Like there's a Babadook 10th anniversary, Mean Girls 20th anniversary, Whiplash 10th anniversary. Like I said, told you, Shaun of the Dead, Blazing Saddles. They're really releasing a bunch of movies as well because again, hey, we probably can't remake this movie. Let's just re-release it. You can't redo Blazing Saddles. There's just no way.
No. There's no way.
Yes, Drew McIntyre does have a big role in The Killing Game, so that'll be cool. So it's just like, so when they can't make a new movie with the old IP, they're just re-releasing the old IP to try to milk everything. But back to like the crux of the conversation, though. I love tilapia, by the way. Love it. Why is it that, and like I said, micromanaging is probably one of the reasons, but I want to think of it from an audience standpoint. Why is it that a film, like, I guess, actually I can answer this before I even ask it, but the question is, why as an audience do we either think it's the best thing ever or the worst thing ever? Like, there's no in between for audiences. But considering the last 2 weeks I've went and seen these films, I saw The Crow, and then I saw Beetlejuice, I can tell you, Beetlejuice didn't try to rehash anything. It was just a new story in that universe with all the original people who made it involved, and they were left to their own devices to just have fun and have a good script. Which, by the way, Tim Burton has said there will not be a Beetlejuice 3 because he said he'd be 100 by the time they got ready to make it. Because it took this long to come up with a story well enough to make a sequel. But with The Crow, none of the original people in the first film or even in the comic book were involved. It was literally somebody who grew up on the film wanting to make their own version of it. And that's happening a lot too. We're seeing that a lot. Where you have these directors that grew up on something. Like, what's his name? The guy who did the Jurassic World film. Colin Trevorrow, whatever. He also did Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Colin Trevorrow, whatever the hell his name is. He absolutely loved Jurassic Park, wanted to do his own spin on that universe. Now, the Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World, pretty good. It's very fun. They kind of go downhill, but they are now currently shooting a fourth one. So we'll see how that goes. And I actually like the sequels to Star Wars. I don't have the issue that everybody else has with them. I think they're fun. Are they kind of almost a direct 1-to-1 copy of the original 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fine. They're fine. I enjoy them more than the prequels. I don't like the prequels still. Although in hindsight, like looking back at the prequels, they're not as bad as I remember them being, but they're still not good. But I do like the sequels. But that's something that's happening a lot too. Is you get a lot of directors who now grew up on these films and are now coming out. You know, they're at the age where they can make films, and so they're deciding to go back and like, oh, I want to take my spin at this. But is that really a good thing? The new Jurassic World is a soft reboot. I believe it is, Austin. A very soft reboot. It is still in the same universe, but it is kind of like we're going to kind of ignore some things and move a different direction kind of thing. I just like, why do we feel this need to give our own, like, I can't say anything too much because I actually wrote a script for a Highlander reboot. I have a script for a Highlander reboot, and I have a script for a Resident Evil reboot. I wrote both in high school. So I did it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did it.
Yeah.
But why do you think it's in our nature to want to do that? These films that are huge impacts on our lives. Like, the reason that we wanted to get into film, and these directors wanted to be directors, is because of these movies. And we feel the need to kind of give it our own spin.
I think because, like you said, it was such a huge part of our lives, and to get to relive that and put your own spin on it, try to make your own mark in the world, whether it be good or bad, I think that's what draws people to try to redo some of these IPs.
I know that in my case, because I can't say that the Resident Evil is a... So my Resident Evil script was before a movie was even on the books. It was just the games.
Right.
Like, the games had come out. I was obsessed with the games. They were amazing. And I felt they were cinematic.
Yeah.
My script is very much a true, almost 1-to-1 adaptation of the games, because the games lay themselves out cinematically. So that's possible. Which is why I don't understand why the films took the route they took, but whatever. But I know personally that I look at like a Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park. Like, there's all these classic films that I grew up loving that I personally would be like, I can't touch that. Highlander, on the other hand, I felt was a series that it's very dated.
Yes.
It's very much in its own moment, and then the sequels just go fucking ridiculous and terrible.
Yeah.
So for me, I could see rebooting Highlander because it's something that, like, hey, we have not explored enough of this world in the right way. I love the first film. I love the TV series. The Highlander TV series was fucking great. But I think we need to explore this in a more... That film is very much set in the 80s. And it's very 80s. Like, it is
very,
like,
very.
Like, you cannot watch that movie now and think, oh, it works for this time frame. It doesn't. It is very 80s.
No.
So to make it timeless, because like a film like Indiana Jones, although very much set in its time frame of the beginning of World War II, it is very timeless. That movie holds up no matter when you're watching it. Back to the Future is a little dated, but it's dated on purpose.
Yeah.
And so it works. I think that the original Jurassic Park is timeless. Highlander was very much not for me, and I don't think it is. So I think that was why I could look at that and go, yeah, I can work with this. I can remake this. I can modernize it in a way that would make it timeless.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because, you know, it's just so many... I'm trying to compare it to another, like, very 80s film, and nothing's really coming to my head at the moment.
Monster Squad.
Yeah,
Buffy.
yeah, that...
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Any of the original Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Big Dre, how's it going? If you need some movie recommendations, Sheepish, you know who to hit up.
This guy.
But yeah, like I just don't get where, like, I mean, I do get it. I understand where Hollywood's coming from a business standpoint. They're hemorrhaging money. They got to do something. That being said, are we going to come out of this? Because it didn't happen. So the directors of yesteryear that has inspired the new directors who are doing these reboots and rehashes, they didn't get to do that. Like they didn't like some they remade some films from the classic days, but for the most part they didn't get to do that. But now, so this is really the first generation that's really making their foundation on rehashing stuff.
Yeah.
But do you see us moving out of that trend anytime soon? 5 years, 10 years? Or is this something that's going to go on for the next 20?
It's really hard to say. I would love to say maybe in about 8 to 10 years, maybe we could start seeing some new, really good original IPs that just become instant classics. And, then we get more people wanting to do original stuff. But for right now, for another, I probably agree with you saying, at least 8 to 10 more years of this.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you have to think, how much more stuff can they continue on with? Because because in the 80s, the only time you got this many sequels and like reboots and stuff were horror movies.
Yeah,
because they were cheap and easy to do. So yeah, just crank out another one every other year.
Karina brought up a great point too, and that's one of the greatest examples is Disney taking all their old cartoons and making live action versions.
Yeah.
Now that's another perfect example too of either hits or miss, because I think Maleficent is phenomenal. I think Maleficent was damn near perfect. Love that movie. But then you look at like The Lion King. Not good. Like it's the problem is Disney is doing this because it's a surefire hit for them no matter what it is. I mean, Lion King made $1 billion. It's a surefire hit to the point where we're now getting a Mufasa prequel in live action. Yeah. And also I think that really kind of like severely affects the story a lot because Mufasa was an orphan, so he wasn't meant to be king, and Scar is actually meant to be king, so Scar had every right to try to take the crown. Like it kind of hurts the story, by the way, but regardless, they're going to run out. The problem when you rehash stuff is, like you just said, you're going to run out of options.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to take a bad IP and try to remake it unless it's something that, like, this is a good idea that was done horribly. The Avatar, The Last Airbender film, which is one of the worst movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
They redid it as a live action series because the original IP was good. But let's take I'm trying to think of an original IP that was bad, but you could redo. Like, the idea was good, but it just didn't work. I'm trying to think back to an original IP like that.
Yeah, right.
I can't even think of one right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't either.
I have still not watched the live action Aladdin because I can't. Robin Williams means too much to me. So seeing somebody else playing the genie just doesn't work for me. Let's see here. I'm trying to think back on like an IP from like the 80s or the 90s. But I mean, like, you have stuff like Virtuosity, which, great idea, I love the film, but it didn't do very well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you redid that with a modern telling with modern technology, that could be really good. Like, you could do that, and you could bring back Denzel and Russell Crowe. Like, you could actually bring back the people from that movie. Johnny Mnemonic, another one that didn't do well, but I think is a great story. Constantine is a perfect example, although that's based on an IP of a comic book. That's a cult classic now that is getting a sequel. Finally. But like, Hackers.
Oh yeah.
Although that's that's a cult classic. See, the problem is when a movie's bad, you tend to forget about it.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anything. I mean, Monster Squad. Oh, Monster Squad's good though. I don't know, man, but there's just like there was also that like we got a RoboCop rehash, which actually wasn't that bad. Like, that movie's actually not that bad. But the problem is you have to live up to the original.
Exactly.
And you just can't. Partially because you can't do some of the things they did in that film.
Yeah, you can't be shooting people in the dick.
Like Green Lantern and Mortal Kombat, those are obviously, those are IPs. I've not watched Cruella yet. I was never a fan of 101 Dalmatians either. That's probably why I haven't watched it, though. So, like, Mortal Kombat was obviously a video game IP turned movie, then rehash as a new movie. I'm looking forward to the sequel coming out because we're getting Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, which should be very good. Green Lantern is getting a reboot in a series form. There's rumors that Josh Brolin, Christopher Pine, and Matthew McConaughey are the choices for Hal Jordan. A lot of people are pissed off about that. Like, why can't we just get a good Green Lantern? I'm like, that's a great choice. Because it also means that we're coming into a Hal Jordan who is a seasoned veteran and is going to be passing the torch. Possibly to a Jon Stewart. Or to a Kyle Rayner. So, like, this is a good thing. That I'm okay with. It's like, I would almost, as like a challenge to myself if I was a director and I had a little bit of pull where I could be like, hey, I'd like to remake something. I'd go back and look for something that was a good story on paper, not executed well at all. Take that IP and run with it. See, I would say like Lawnmower Man, but that was actually a good movie.
Yeah. The sequel was not.
No. But I'm sure if we went back and looked at, like,
of course, Lawnmower Man wasn't an original IP either. It was a story short story from Stephen King.
Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I love that short story collection. Nathan Fillion, he's actually playing Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, which I think is a better fit. Although he'd have made a good Hal Jordan, I think he makes a great Guy Gardner.
Didn't he voice Hal Jordan in the animated movies?
In one of them, at least one of them, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hopefully studios can, like, again, I kind of understand from a business perspective where studios are coming from. They are still trying to recover from an 18-month period of no theaters being open. They are trying to get back. On top of that, movies nowadays cost so much to make. Like, I forgot what movie it was, but there was a movie recently that was like $300 million to make. And you look at it and go, it's not Avatar. Why did it cost this much to make? Like, it was some, like, non-comic book, non-big superhero epic. And it cost him $300 million to make it. And you're just like, holy shit. What's up, Caleb? I would have loved to have seen Damian Priest as Namor in Black Panther 2. Apparently, Damian Priest had gotten the role of Namor in Black Panther 2, but then WWE made him drop it. Specifically Vince McMahon, which sucks, but that would have been cool to see. I just don't know, like... I think ideally at this point, we need to have something. Because even Oppenheimer isn't technically a new IP. It's a biopic. It's based on a real person. We have not had a 100% original idea come out. And people are like, oh, what about Avatar and Avatar 2? They're just direct ripoffs of Pocahontas.
And Dances with Wolves and any other thing with Native Americans.
Yeah, like he just it's not an original story. I think that honestly, the only way we get out of this, the only way we make that turn to start bringing back original ideas again, like your Indiana Jones, your Back to the Futures, Ghostbusters, etc. When there's another IP also getting rehashed, by the way, but successfully.
Yeah.
We're going to have somebody come out. And we kind of got it with Jordan Peele. With Get Out, Nope, Us. Like, we kind of got it. We need somebody to come out. And, like, Christopher Nolan was doing it with Inception, Interstellar, Prestige. But we need somebody to come out and hit a film, arguably something that's going to push towards that #1 box office of all time spot. Some kind of original IP has to come out and hit that to where people, like the Hollywood starts to feel safe again, taking chances on original IPs. But I have a feeling it's going to be, like I said, about a decade before we get there.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't see it happening anytime soon. Especially since you just look at what's coming out in the next couple of years, it's all rehashes, it's all reboots, it's all just nothing original. I agree, Karina. I mean, Jordan Peele, like, he did it 3 times, really. Get Out, Us, and Nope. Although Nope wasn't nearly as successful as the other 2. But the problem with that is you're in the horror genre. And a lot of horror movies that come out are originals. Smile, all the stuff that's coming out, like Long Legs. There's all this stuff, like, but horror is easy to get away with doing original stuff.
Yeah.
We got to have somebody come out and make a dramatic film or a big epic blockbuster. Think back to the 90s. I know a lot of you weren't alive then because you're all fetuses.
Yep.
Speed, Armageddon, Independence Day, what else came out around then? Point Break.
Oh.
Like, we had just this ton of these unique new IP, massive, like they all kind of revolved around, like, a lot of it was like the end of the world. Like, we had disaster movies, we had Twister, Deep Impact, stuff like that. But we're going to need to get something in that realm once again. We're going to need to get something original in, like, the big epic popcorn blockbuster way. I just don't know who's going to be able to pull it off. Yes, the old HQ for WWE is up for sale because they moved into their new building. Shaq Fu the movie, that'll do it. But it's not an original IP either.
No. Holy
that was a video game.
And then you would have to have Shaq's face superimposed on somebody else.
Yeah, because he ain't doing it.
Oh, no, he ain't doing it.
Stranger Things was successful for Netflix. Although I don't think a Stranger Things movie would really work.
No. I think you would lose too much. It's like when a series you love, like especially an anime, As like you love a series and then they have the movie version of it, and then it never lives up to expectation.
Yeah.
Now, if the movie was a part of the series, kind of like what Demon Slayer has done during its run, then yeah, it can be successful. But when you just have a separate movie that happens in between in between two episodes of the original series that you never knew about, and like say certain dead characters are back in this film when you obviously seen them die. Yeah, great to see them back, but then the story is usually lacking, especially like for older animes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Don, you kind of make a good point here is that most IPs need longevity to explain the lore. And that's where, like I said, we need a film, like a Speed stand on its own. Armageddon stand on its own. Independence Day stood on its own. Like, there were these films that came out where there were these huge, epic movies that just stood on their own. Everything got explained. It was concise from start to finish. Beginning, middle, end, it's done. We need something like that. But I feel like I don't know if there's a director out there right now that I could trust to do that.
And another thing about those films you mentioned, those were based in this world. You didn't need to go into lore. You just needed to understand the characters, their motivations, their desires, why they're doing this, everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I understand, but I get the fear. I understand why Fiji, as you put it, that they are scared to take a chance. I understand that because if you look at the stuff that is original, like I listed out of what's playing, it's making $0. And I think that part of what's going to hurt the cinema world is the success of Marvel. As long as Marvel continues to make movies and continues to be uber successful, no other studio is going to look around. They're going to go, well, look, this is what's working.
Mm-hmm.
Can't fix what ain't broke. So let's just keep going with this. Let's keep rehashing stuff.
And
I never want to see Marvel. I never want to see Marvel fail. I want to make that very clear. I am super excited with what Marvel does. That being said, either somebody needs to step up and have the balls to try, or Marvel has to get to a point where they decide to stop making movies. Which is why I said 10 years. Because I have a feeling that maybe the Mutant Saga might be kind of the... I could see Marvel using the Mutant Saga as a way to kind of wrap up stuff. As a way to kind of like... I already feel like it's going to be a soft reboot after the Multiversal Saga. So maybe they do another saga after Mutants. But I really also feel like this is where they're going to be like curtailing everything into some kind of finalized thing. Yeah, I think that might be part of it too, Austin. That's a good point. Is that we used to live in a time where people were fine with one and done movies. Now with the internet, everybody just pushes for sequel, pushes for sequel, pushes for sequel. We love this so much, we want more.
Yeah.
But there are some things that really are one and done. Like I think The Prestige is Christopher Nolan's best film. But I wouldn't want to see a sequel. That film wrapped up quite nicely. That being said, an Inception sequel might be interesting. I don't know. There are certain things that lend to a sequel type of mentality. Highlander, Marvel movies, DC movies. Like there are movies that kind of like there are stories that like yes, you can expand on this. It would be cool. But yeah, the day of the one and done story has kind of lost its way. And I think somebody's going to have to like take the severe chance to make that one and done massive film. Let it be successful and then not touch it. And part of that's also going to be on the studios to not touch it. You know? Like, so... I don't think there's an answer to the problem. Let's be real here. Short of like what we've discussed is kind of the answer to the problem. At the same time, we are easily a decade away from getting out of the rehash environment. So I think at the end of the day, we just have to hope and pray that studios give us more Beetlejuice, and less The Crow. Because we're not going to get away from rehashing IPs anytime soon. So I think let's wrap it up in the sense that we're not going to get away from this anytime soon. I don't even know if I'll be alive to see us get out of this at this point. Right. So I guess as fans, all we can really do is hope for more movies like Beetlejuice, and less movies like The Crow, where they absolutely butcher it, instead of doing something like Beetlejuice, where it's a perfect homage. So yeah. Well, on that note, because again, there is no real answer to this. We're not studios. We can't,
Yeah.
It is what it is. But
we just have to wait for that one daring director to say, I have this idea. And the studio says, let's roll with it. And that's all we can do is just sit and wait.
And I'm kind of thinking that's going to happen because we have so much rehash going on now. The people growing up in this era that are wanting to become directors cannot rehash for rehash. You know what I mean? They're going to have to come up with original ideas. You're not going to be able to remake that film that you love so much that got you into this because it was already a remake to begin with. So that's the plus side to this, is that this does have a shelf life. I don't know if that's $1 billion idea, but A24 is trying it. They are trying. And honestly, they don't get enough love. They should get more love. But it's going to take a big studio to do it. It's going to take a Warner Brothers or a Disney or a Sony or a Universal. Somebody like that is going to have to step up. Because even Fall Guy, which we watched the other day, that was a rehash too. There's nothing original right now. But like I said, I think there is there is a cap on this. Because the new directors that are going to be coming up here soon in the next decade, they're not going to have the ability to rehash. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to have to do new stuff. So I think at this point it's just a wait and see kind of thing. But until then, pray that studios give us more of the Beetlejuice level of quality versus the Crow quality. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for coming in and being a part of the discussion. If you guys have any other ideas that we can discuss when it comes to film, TV shows, video games, stuff like that, comic books, please let us know in our Discord. You can go to my Instagram profile and go to my link tree, and in there is our Discord, so you can join us there. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all the stuff, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all the fun jazz. You know what to do. It's social media. We're all very familiar with it. And on that note, for Kel the Cosplay, I've been Super Beard. You've been super awesome. We'll see you tomorrow night for the SmackDown Watch Along. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you then. Bye.
Goodbye.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter told them before, but they don't listen. Better, bring a better bad because I'm bigger, better. Solo, single, selling several shows at every single second. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Kinda came and crushed the competition, hope they get the message. Look, living it fast, spinning my M in the bag. I never go slow, thinking I'll crash. End up a thing in the past, they know I won't though. Big fish catching me, they gon' need a bigger boat. Ironic how the world stops when I spin a globe. always showing up. Last year's song still holding up. See the name now and they know what's up. Price hit the top and it's going up. I'm a trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center, yeah. Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center.
B.O.D. Get the spell check, a fact check, and prevent errors going up. See the bent lever, jalapeno hot, y'all just red peppers. All y'all copping copies, but I'm left center. And your shorty glitching on me like a text center. Hit her with a French tenor. Crazy, wait until I do the next record. I leave head severed. I don't need to hit the bench ever. But if I do, I'm PRing to the next level. Condo flights to Lufthansa. Already know who you people fans of. Call me Big Daddy in a big body Wrangler. Call me Big Daddy Adam Sandler. Bullseye, aiming for a cottage with a